You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously. Welcome to Tricknology, where we focus in on safety, training, education, and legal protection. This is Professor Griff, NRA, USCCA certified instructor. Classes are being held twice a month. Contact me at 678-557-2919. That's 678-557-2919. Thank you, and welcome to Tricknology, safety, training, education, and legal protection. The Serious Minds Brain Tonic was created to sharpen the mind by protecting cells and increasing neurotransmitters associated with learning and memory. This is the Serious Minds Brain Tonic. The Resurrection Formula. This male reproductive tonic elixir is the resurrection you've been looking for. It is a stimulating sexual tonic with mild androgen-like effects that is nourishing to the reproductive system. You can order them at www.professorgriff.me and www.seriousmindsinstitute.com. Just call 678-557-2919. Your health is your wealth. Peace. You are Greetings. All right, greetings, everyone. All right. Let me see. All right, let me fix this camera because that's just not the look that I'm actually going for. And that's not the look that I'm going for. I don't like this. Hold on for a second, fam. Give me 1 second. This is not the look I am going for. Give me the tungsten look or something. Other than that, man, I just can't do it. All right. In any event, I guess we got to dive into it. Whatever it's going to look like right now. It's looking like whatever it's looking like. All right. I guess we got to do it like that. All right. Greetings, family. How's everyone doing? It's Professor Griff. Of course, you'll already know. In case you don't know, I'm Professor Griff. And this is Serious Minds RNTV. Quan, what's good with you? All right. I got Quan on deck. I got a few other people on deck. But in the meantime, between time, I tend to not want to make these conversations about these sensitive subjects too lengthy. I'd rather keep them short, get right to the point, because I think that everything that is going to be said about most of these subjects by the time we get around to them, simply because the subject matter, I don't tend to want to kind of jump on as soon as I hear it, either in the news or by hearsay or whatever. All right. So by the time we get a hold of them, you've already heard them on other people's platform. All right. Most of which I don't hear. I might get glimpses of some things on social media. So until I kind of look at it, go over it and kind of mull it over, so to speak, if that's the term, then I'll dive into it. All right. And this is one of the subjects where it came out last week that the two men that was wrongly convicted of the assassination of Malcolm X was exonerated. Okay. Two men wrongly convicted of killing of Malcolm X are exonerated after 55 years. All right. 55 years. Marinate on that for a minute. Most of y'all that are on here and that might have anything to contribute or say was not even born. Am I wrong in saying that, or would I be? Okay, cool. So in that case, I think we would be best, and it would be best, all right, for us to hold the comments until you think 2 or 3 times over what you might want to say or what you might want to contribute. Think it through. That's all we're asking. All right. So let's just kind of dive into it. All right. Let's just kind of. Muhammad A, Aziz, and Khalil Islam, who each served more than 20 years of a life sentence, have always maintained their innocence. All right. So just if you know anything about Malcolm X, if you know anything about the Nation of Islam and the history of the Nation of Islam, then you'll, if you did any degree of research, and you can kind of roll your mind back to the two men who were wrongfully imprisoned for the murder of Malcolm X. When the exoneration thing was talked about, I just said to myself, well, it's about time. That was just my, that's me talking to me. Those of us that are already in the know, so to speak, those of us that have already had information prior to this happening, had already knew that the gentleman and the two men that they had in jail, 3 men, pardon me, that they had in jail were not the men, 2 men, pardon me, who carried out the assassination. One had confessed in a written statement, which it's so ridiculous that the government just ignored it and kept 2 innocent men in jail for over 20 years. There were people in the black community, there were people in the conscious community that to this day still blames the Nation of Islam, the present Nation of Islam, for the death of Malcolm. I've heard that so many times coming up. So it wasn't until I had the pleasure of talking to a few people firsthand, and then there was a good brother that put out a documentary film, Who Killed Malcolm. All right. And then there's so many things that came out about Malcolm. I don't care if it was a bumper sticker or a t-shirt or or the Godfather of Harlem. Whatever it was, Malcolm's image and Malcolm's name and its importance to the black community coming through that lens, coming through that portal given to us by the Nation of Islam. We know and understood that we need to do a deeper research. And I think it wasn't until the documentary film Who Killed Malcolm was done that it sparked a new interest in the case and led to the exoneration of 2 men, all right, for the murder of Malcolm X. So shout out to Quan. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you, Quan. Putting the things up as fast as I can get them while I'm continuing to have the conversation. It says the reversal arrives more than 5 decades after the civil rights leaders leaders' 1965 assassination report Ashley Southall and Jonah E. Bromwich for the New York Times. Now, let's get something straight. Malcolm X was no civil rights leader. All right? So what the enemy is trying to do at this particular point is take the image of Malcolm X and remold and reshape it for that generation that's coming up now. All right? Malcolm, towards the end of his life, mind you, being in the Nation of Islam, I believe, 12 years, and out of the nation for approximately 1 to maybe 1.5, 2 years. So let's get a deeper understanding of that. All right. You're right. Voodoo Glitch. Malcolm said that. Only a fool would let his enemy teach his children. All right. And we need to understand that particular dynamic as we dive into this particular conversation. Now, I know and understand there's going to be some trolls in here still wanting to blame the Nation of Islam, the current Nation of Islam, for the death and the assassination of Malcolm X. When it's already known now, and it's always been known, that the high-ranking officials in the Nation of Islam at that particular time were government agents. All right? Okay. D. Allen M.E.D. Yes, it's on YouTube. Serious Minds. It's on Serious Minds on YouTube. All right? Okay. Now, so let's understand and set the backdrop. We already knew the information trickling down and talk inside the nation. And then with people that are close to the nation. All right. So we always knew that there would be imps and government agents and traitors and even people that's going to be on here tonight kicking up dust. All right. And it's not hard to do. You could damn do a Google search right now. You could spend a couple of nights with Netflix and find out the damn truth. But it's these people that don't want to tell the truth and know the truth, because it's easier for them to blame the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or the Nation of Islam for the death of Malcolm, because it takes the responsibility off your true open enemy, which is the United States government. All right, that was responsible for the death of not only Malcolm, but Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Not only Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but I could call the roll. So for the trolls that are on here, all right, we already know that you're going to be on here. Because the trolls now are part of the system that want to keep that energy going. For example, and it's not hard to tell. We have living examples right now. All right? Living examples right now on how this is going on. You ain't got to look far. Yep. The United States government was responsible for the death of Fred Hampton Sr. We could call the roll. But what's a living example? All right, living example. Right now, you pretty much know, thank you, Quan, you pretty much know the history of Professor Griff, right? You pretty much know. I've been asking them other people to come on and have the conversation. Whatever it is and wherever it is that you want to have it, let's dive into what the truth of this situation is. All right, about what Professor Griff said in 1989. Rather than them coming to the table to have the discussion, all right, and even their imps and their Negroes that work for them, all right, they always want you to think this Professor Griff guy is anti-this and anti-this and anti-Semitic and anti all this other stuff. So right now, if you Google my name, right, because I'm on it every night, people have my phone number. Shit, we can meet tomorrow for lunch to talk. It don't make me no difference. But if you Google my name, tell me what come up. Go to Google and Google Professor Griff. Let me get some water while y'all do that. Enemies public, what's good with you? All right, no, we just bringing the people up to date. Those that are probably in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who don't have a clue about how the government work and how they've been working after, killing our people for over thousands of years. All right, and we're dealing with the same mindset right now. The same mindset that you saw move Kyle Rittenhouse through that trial real quick and found him innocent of all charges. It's the same mindset that we're dealing with today. Same mindset that dealt with the Native Americans and did what they did to them. The same mindset. Same mindset that destroyed the Mau Mau. Same mindset. All right? Same mindset that destroyed the Native Americans. It's the same mind. All right? And I'm giving you a live example right now. Did you Google my name? Beautiful black skin. That's all it said. That's all it said. Because I'm surprised it even said that. Because they began the process years ago of writing me out of history. They're going to make you think in a few years that I was never even part of Public Enemy. I'm saying that to say this. To turn around now and for us to read an article today about Malcolm and to say he was a civil rights leader is absolutely incorrect. Go back and tell me when Malcolm X ever said that he was a civil rights leader. All right. A judge cleared Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam. Well, the judge could have done that a long time ago. If the judge would have listened to the written statement that one of the ones that was involved in the assassination of Malcolm X and confessed to it and gave a written statement, but the government ignored it. Two of the three men convicted of the killing in 1966 after the 22-month investigation led by Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance Jr. and lawyers from the Innocence Project, which seeks to exonerate those who have been wrongly convicted. Well, I want to say to the Innocence Project right now, I'm innocent. I'm innocent of all those things that they accused me of. All right? And you're doing to brothers right now as we speak what they did to Malcolm, Martin. It may not be a physical death right now, but nonetheless, it's a death. It's assassination attempt of a character, of a living human being right now. All right? Let's get back to this. I don't want to keep injecting me and my situation in it. All right? So Cyrus Vance and the Innocence Project will seek to exonerate those who are wrongly convicted. The Thursday's ruling officially acknowledged what many investigators and historians have long known or suspected. The men, members of the Nation of Islam, a black nationalist group that Malcolm left in 1964, were innocent all along. They were innocent all along. And let's not get things twisted and confused. If you don't know what nationalists or the word black nationalists mean, go look it up before you have someone shape and mold your idea of what a black nationalist is. I'm a black nationalist. I'm a black man in a nation that's in a nation. That I want my own nation. You say, wow, how you going to do that? I say the same thing about you and your ass. Wow, the hell you going to stay in America? Living under this rule, getting shot down and murdered. No justice in America. You still getting looked at as a second, third, and fourth class citizen. No. I'd rather not. These people are not going to see you any other way. And I'm not saying that that is the reason why you should settle on calling yourself whatever you call. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. However you feel like you got to move through America, you do your thing. Egypt, what's good with you? You do your thing. But I'm saying to you, you understand the mindset of this government. Aziz, who was released from prison in 1985, and Islam, who was paroled in 1987 and died in 2009. Each served more than 20 years of a life sentence. Both endured long periods of solitary confinement in notorious New York prisons, including Attica, the site of the turbulent 1971 uprising that left 43 dead, reports South Hall in a separate separate Times article. All the while, the men attempted to clear their names. All right? And I quote, I do not need this court, these prosecutors, or a piece of paper to tell me I am innocent. End of quote, says Aziz in a statement released by his lawyers and quoted by NBC News. I'm 83 years old, who was victimized by the criminal justice system. And that's exactly what it is. It's a criminal justice system ran by criminals. The exoneration corrects the historical and legal record of one of the most consequential deaths of the civil rights era. It may have been the civil rights era, but nonetheless, we were fighting for not civil rights, but we were fighting for human rights. Did not Malcolm say that? Okay. As an influential, divisive spokesperson for the Nation of Islam, Malcolm inspired the burgeoning Black Power movement. Yeah, there was a Black Power movement going on. All right. And then simultaneously, the civil rights movement made its way to the forefront, giving spotlight to Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X simultaneously. While the Vietnam War was happening in 68, I believe, while things were going on in America, cities were burning, uprisings, riots, protests. And I'm not talking about just black people. White people were protesting also. People were getting shot down on college campuses. It was the turbulent 60s. They needed to quiet a Dr. King down. They needed to quiet a Malcolm X down. So what better way than to assassinate both men? And then blame it on the same people that they came up out of and spoke for. And I think we could even say broader than that, spoke for the human family. His powerful speeches and ideas continue to resonate in American politics to this day, wrote Allison Keyes for the Smithsonian Magazine. It's the New York Times, Smithsonian Magazine, all of these now well-to-do, good folk, all of a sudden now want to write. On February 21st, 1965, Malcolm was assassinated in front of hundreds, including his pregnant wife and 3 children, at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. The crowd had gathered near him to hear him speak about the organization of Afro-American unity. which he founded the previous year after leaving the Nation of Islam and converting to Sunni Islam. Okay. And the thing that you may remember about Malcolm X, Malcolm X was known for the famous quote, by any means necessary. And until we take what Malcolm has given us and put it back under a microscope and understand it, but keeping the historical context in place, then I don't think we're ever going to understand what's going on at this present moment. The move that the government is making by exonerating two of the individuals that had kept in jail over 20 years, blaming the assassination of Malcolm X on these individuals, and at the same time, blaming the current Nation of Islam. It just kind of makes no sense to me. All right? It just doesn't. But if we are continuing to fall for the tricks, all right, and the lies and the machinations of this present government and these imps that work for the government, all right, I think it's sad. As Malcolm X took to the stage, gunmen opened fire and killed him. Aziz Islam and Talmadge Hare, who now go by the name of Mujahid Abdul Harim, were arrested and convicted of first-degree murder in 1966. At the time of the assassination, Aziz and Islam were known as Norman 3X Butler and Thomas 15X Johnson, respectively. Halim, who was paroled in 2010 after serving more than 40 years, confessed to the killing of Malcolm during his 1966 trial, but he testified that both Aziz and Islam were innocent, even naming 4 other members of the Nation of Islam as his actual co-conspirators in the late 1970s. He actually admitted who these individuals were. And this is where the documentary film on Netflix picks up and gives us the names and the individuals and how it actually went down. But the United States government did not move on it. As the Manhattan District Attorney's report reveals, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the New York Police Department botched their inquiry into the case, withholding critical and crucial evidence about the men's alibis and relying on conflicting eyewitness testimony to prosecute Aziz and Islam. Per a statement from the Innocence Project, the men were both at home with their wives at the time of the killing. Aziz was actually recovering from a beating by police officers and had visited a hospital earlier that day. It seemed convenient to pin the murder charge on Aziz and Islam, all right, from Liz Masucci, former chief researcher for the Malcolm X Project, told Times Josiah Bates last year, even though they didn't quite fit the story shared with police, though eyewitnesses reports and FBI informants. They already had FBI informants in the Nation of Islam. They knew exactly who plotted and planned to kill Malcolm. All right, but they had a bigger plan, all right, to destroy the Nation of Islam. Now, do your research. Go back and tell me what did J. Edgar Hoover say in the COINTELPRO. Come on now, talk to me. What did J. Edgar Hoover say? What was the main objective of the COINTELPRO? Come on, family, talk to me. These were the goals of the COINTELPRO. Hold on. It says the FBI sets the goals. All right. COINTELPRO, hold on. I know y'all probably can't see this because it's kind of small. But it says under the directive, J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's COINTELPRO, which is the counterintelligence program, was aimed at investigating and disrupting dissident political groups within inside the United States. In the 1960s, the COINTELPRO targets frequently included civil rights activists. Now, this is who they targeted, civil rights activists. Both those who espoused nonviolence, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and those that Hoover referred to as black nationalist hate groups, like the Black Panther Party. This document outlines the program's goals in attempting to limit the effectiveness of such groups. In practice, the FBI, which is the Federal Bureau of Investigations, or the Federal Bureau of Intimidation, used infiltration, legal harassment, disinformation, and sometimes extra-legal intimidation and violence against King, the Panthers, and other black activist groups in its attempt to discredit and disrupt them. All right? Still standing. What's good with you, bro? And you're absolutely correct, Doc. They was to prevent the rise of a black messiah. Now, how would they know to use that language? How would they know to use that particular language to prevent the rise of a black messiah? How did they know a black messiah was coming to black people at that particular time? If one of their main objectives and their goals was to prevent the rise of a black messiah. Peace, Double B. What's good with you, bro? Think about some of these things. They wanted to prevent a rise of a black messiah. They obviously had to know that a black messiah was going to rise up amongst us. So for the maximum effectiveness of the counterintelligence program and to prevent wasted effort, long-range goals are being set. Now, even in your life, you should have short-range goals and long-range goals. So let's read some of the goals of the counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover. Number one, prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups. In unity, there is strength. A truism that is no less valid for all these trueness. An effective coalition of black nationalist groups might be the first step towards a real Mau Mau. Now, you got to ask yourself the question, what is this language? Who do they think was the black messiah and who is the Mau Mau? Go look it up. Who are the Mau Mau? Who are the Mau Mau? The Black Revolutionary Army, the Kenya Emergency, and the Mau Mau Revolt was a war in British Kenya colony between the Kenyan land and the Freedom Army. This Freedom Army, black revolutionaries, were called the Mau Mau. All right, it was a Black Revolutionary Army. All right. The beginning of a true black revolution will easily be set off in America if only these organizations came together. All right, and this is what they were trying to prevent, the organizations from coming together. Number two, to prevent the rise of a black messiah that could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. Malcolm X may have been such a messiah. This is why it was necessary for the United States government, all right, to assassinate Malcolm X and then blame it on the Nation of Islam, killing two birds with one stone. And you fell for it. He is the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. King can be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines. They said if Dr. King were not leaning towards this white liberal kind of doctrine, Dr. King could have been that particular individual and a contender for the position. But he has to abandon his obedience to white people. All right, and this nonviolence approach. He has to embrace black nationalism. Stokely Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be the real threat in this way. And Stokely Carmichael is now an ancestor. Number 3, and I'm not going to read all of them, to prevent violence as a part of the black nationalist groups. This is the primary importance of his course, a goal of our investigation and activity. So they had to kill Fred Hampton Sr. They had to break up the Black Panther Party. All right, they had to murder Malcolm and Martin and blame it on the Nation of Islam. All right. The sad part today is the children of some of these people are walking around today, not Malcolm's children. I'm not talking about Malcolm's children. I'm talking about you, still believe in this madness. All right? You could easily go look up the FBI set goals for the counterintelligence program. All right. We're moving right along through it. I know it's kind of choppy, but we're going to get through it.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we're dealing in hate. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you? And I, for one, as a Muslim, believe that the white man is intelligent enough. If he were made to realize how black people really feel and how fed up we are without that old compromise and sweet talk. Stop sweet talking it. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that if he's not ready to clean his house up, if he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house. It should catch on fire and burn down.
You just heard Malcolm X. I believe it was 1962. Malcolm X speech, and I believe that was after the mosque was attacked and Muslims were attacked on the West Coast. All right. It says the inconsistencies in the case stood out to me. If you're just joining us, this is Professor Griff on Serious Minds, RNTV, and we're discussing the two men that was wrongly convicted have now been exonerated by the United States government. They've been exonerated from the death, from the murder of Malcolm X. All right, whom they spent 20 some odd years in prison. All right, serving a life sentence, but they're now free. All right. It says inconsistencies in the case stood out to many onlookers, including Malcolm X expert Abdul Rahman Muhammad, who turned his investigation into a revolutionary Netflix documentary series titled "Who Killed Malcolm?" The February 2020 production brought Aziz's plight to the attention of the national audience. All right. So it was our brother Rahman Muhammad, all right, that produced the film "Who Killed Malcolm?" It was presented on Netflix. Good question, Quan. In the documentary, Aziz once again recounted his alibi. The day after the murder, which was Sunday morning, I was laying over the couch with my foot up, and I heard it over the radio. A few months after the series release, The Dead Are Rising, a Pulitzer Prize winning National Book Award winning biography of Malcolm by journalist Les and Tamara Payne, argued convincingly that the two men had been wrongly convicted. Now, how is it all these white people and all these other people have all this information that I'm sure the government has, but yet these two men had to stay in prison? And then we had Negroes, well-to-do Negroes. King Simon, you know what I'm talking about. We had well-to-do Negroes recently, over the last 5 and 10 years on YouTube, especially in New York, blaming the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam for murdering Malcolm. Stop that. You already had the information. You had the information long before anybody had the information. But it almost seems like you are on the payroll somewhere, having to yell from the mountaintop that the Nation of Islam murdered Malcolm. So now we got to start questioning you. What was your agenda? So the brother, Rahman Muhammad, did a very beautiful job in the Netflix documentary, laying the case out. All right. So now, faced with mounting compelling arguments in favor of the men's innocence, Vance formally launched an investigation into the case in 2020. Speaking with the Times, and the district attorney apologized on behalf of the FBI and the New York Police Department. Now we're apologizing. You're right, Quan, doing the white man's bidding. Y'all know who they are. Stop playing. King Simon, you know who they are, because that wasn't that damn long ago. It wasn't that long ago. I wonder where these people are at now. I don't hear from them. I don't hear them. The points to the truth that the law enforcement over history has often failed to live up to its responsibilities, he said. These men did not get the justice that they deserved. We've always knew that these weren't the men that assassinated Malcolm X. It was agents inside of the Nation of Islam carrying out a devilish plot by the United States government during the COINTELPRO remix that was responsible for the assassination of Malcolm X. Two men wrongly convicted of the assassinating Malcolm are exonerated. All right. Hold on 1 second, fam. Let me just share my screen real quick.
While I do not need this court, these prosecutors, or a piece of paper to tell me I'm innocent, I'm very glad that my family, my friends, and the attorneys who have worked and supported me over these years are finally seeing the truth that we have all known, officially recognized.
These were not just innocent mistakes, and many wrongful convictions aren't. They're the result of official misconduct. And it doesn't stop with this exoneration. We need to know how, we need to know why, and we need to understand the extent of the involvement of the government in both the assassination of Malcolm X and the wrongful conviction of Mr. Aziz and Mr. Islam.
Setting the history straight. Wicked, man. Wicked as hell. You already knew the truth, and you let these men sit in prison, man. King Simon, you said what? Brother Norman is a good brother and held to his innocence all these years. Exactly. But my thing is, we have to be able to kind of take this and study it and then move forward. Oh, give thanks, Mr. Zero Tolerance. Public Enemy made me aware that Malcolm was killed by the government back in 1989. I think even to take on a subject like this, it deserves much more than what I'm giving it tonight. We would have to sit face to face in a forum and lay the facts out. I don't think there needs to be any convincing. simply because the brother Muhammad did it in a Netflix documentary. I mean, this man laid it out. Tracked down right to the damn doorstep of the individual that murdered Malcolm. J Magnetic, exactly. Ain't that something? And to think the actual trigger man got out of jail before they did. Y'all better understand what happened with that, because we might be doomed to repeat this, man. Who else are they going to frame? Who else are they going to murder and blame it on someone else, black? If y'all are not sitting back studying this Kyle Rittenhouse thing situation, I don't even understand how y'all think that y'all going to survive anything else that these people put on us, man. That is the prevailing mindset. Now, I'm not saying all white people, because there's some white people that I know personally. It's like, nah, that's dead ass wrong. That man done broke every damn gun rule, every law that they done set up to govern this thing. And then the judge just showed his true colors. He's like, the hell with y'all. We're going to let him pick the jury. When has that ever happened in life? Anywhere? You're going to let the defendant pick the jury. Oh, DM, you dead ass wrong. We are aware. You not aware. Hey, shit. The mere fact that you got to come on here and say that, yeah, bro, you probably not aware. Shit, we've been aware. Listen, you better get grounded, get centered, and start dealing with things for how they really are. Seriously. You ever seriously, get centered, man. Because these people are not playing. All right? Anyway, family. What else could we possibly say about these two men being exonerated? We already knew they were innocent. But what was the plan of the United States government to keep these two men in jail and then blame the Nation of Islam? What are the sophisticated ways right now that they're using to do the same thing that the COINTELPRO did back then in an analog frequency? They're doing it now in a digital frequency. If they're trying to stop the rise of a black messiah, what if the black messiah was you? What if the black messiah was a concept and it's each and every one of you? And the thing that they feared was us coming together. One mindset. Like minds, like mine. Serious minds attracting serious minds so we can get some things done. Anyway, family, let's keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on in this country, because now that trial is over with, we still faced with Ahmaud Arbery and how the murderers of this young brother, 25 years old, in Brunswick, Georgia, is going to play out. All right? Are you going to become reactionaries and run out there and get led to the slaughter? Or are you going to sit back, plan, and think? All right? And then finally, other than sitting around drinking and smoking on YouTube, just talking shit, are you going to finally get together and plan? Are we going to form survivalist units so that we can survive? Why is it that when we come together and we want to do prepping and survivalist stuff, it always threatens white people? You shouldn't threaten white people. We want to survive like white people want to survive. Shit. Why can't we store some stuff in our homes and get prepared? Everybody else getting prepared? What's wrong with that? That's right, Keith Mack. Bug out bags on deck. Black packs on deck, man. All right, family. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. The 5 P's you said? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. All right, we'll remember that. Train like you fight and fight like you train, but you have to have the mindset. All right, what is your mindset? I see some of these people with these 2 or 3 hour programs that y'all have on YouTube and all this other kind of stuff and StreamYard and all this other kind of stuff. Don't mention one thing about preparing our people's spirit and mindset for what's coming down the pipe. All right? Anyway, I love you all to life, fam. It's Professor Griff. I gotta get ready to get out of here, man. All right. Prepare, man. We must become warrior scholars. Let's prepare. All right? All right. Love you all to life, man. Revolution is not an event. It's a process, man. Peace. All right, Quan. I got to get ready to get out of here. Peace.